The other aspect of work at Chichester Harbour on the lottery-funded projects was the environmental archaeology, and that was extremely interesting. It gave me a chance to work with some excellent people who really knew their stuff. We had a number of different contractors for different elements of the project. The main one was the Museum of London, and they did an awful lot of work with us, both with setting up the project and also drawing the whole thing together at the end, and that was extremely valuable. We had a look at sea level rise and how that had changed, and worked out that it was unlikely the Romans would have been able to sail to Chichester using the channels that are popularly accepted as the normal routes. We also did a lot of coring. Well, when I say a lot, there were about 7 cores, but the largest of those was about 7 metres deep. So it was a big old chunk of earth. And the object of that was to have a look through, see what was growing, see how the harbour had changed over time, and see how it had adapted to climate change, as well as the effects of rising sea levels following the end of the last ice age. There's a lot of technical terms possible, but let's not go into those. The archaeology itself, as I say, was undertaken over the course of about 2 years, and all drawn up at the end. A lot of it involved field work. When Molas were doing their coring work, they turned up with this fantastic piece of kit, which was a drilling rig that was mounted on caterpillar tracks. And it was a fascinating bit of kit because it looked very industrial, and not the sort of thing that you'd really expect to see produce very precise scientific results. But the outcomes were. It involved going on some fantastic field days out. We didn't get to go everywhere that we wanted initially, simply because a lot of it was farmland, and one of the farmers said, "Oh no, we've got cattle in our fields." He goes, "Oh yes, we'd better wait for the cows to move then, hadn't we?" And he said, "Oh, don't worry about them, it's what they'll do to you, they're very nosy." And apparently they do cluster around, and they stop you working, basically. They come and have a good old look, good old nose, investigate everything, and there's nothing much you can do. So he thought, well, that's one impediment we hadn't really considered, so never mind, that's fine. Anyway, we got past the cow problem, and a number of cores were taken, and we had some very good results from those. The only thing that I was glad not to hear about was that on one occasion, the coring rig had actually fallen over into the mud, and the farmer had to haul it out with a tractor. And I didn't get to hear about that, thankfully. But due to the nature of the work, a lot of it had to be conducted at low tide. Now, one of the essential criteria for intertidal field work is high pressure, because it keeps sea level down. Now, that means you only go out to work on nice sunny days, and that was a fantastic way of looking at the harbour and knowing that you were actually at work. So that was a tremendous memory, and I really, really cherish that.